What's up and good morning, War Report family? It's your guy, Ike Jones. We are here back with another morning drop. Today, we are talking about the transfer. Senda coming over to Auburn from Northwestern. How does that impact the offensive line room? We're going to talk about it this morning right here. Let's drop it on them.
You are now listening to the War Report. Drop.
Morning drop time. We are here Monday morning. It is July 31st, the final day of July.
Hey.
I'm in here with my guy, Mike G, talking a little bit about Senda. Am I pronouncing the name right? Senda? Is that how it's
Senda,
I haven't
yeah.
actually heard it pronounced anywhere. I've just seen it. And if it's pronounced any other way than Dylan, you can come on here to the War Report and talk about, hey, you guys are butchering my name. But anyway, Senda, transfer offensive lineman for 2023, by the way, from Northwestern. How does something like that happen? Well, you don't know what's happening at Northwestern. We haven't talked about it much here on this show, but this is the second time that Auburn, ironically, has gotten a guy named Dylan as a late transfer from a team because the coach was fired due to some sort of impropriety.
Right.
Second time in the last 3 years, a guy named Dylan comes over. Hopefully this works out better for this Dylan than it did for the last Dylan, because that guy is not even with Auburn anymore. Anyway, any thoughts on the young man, Senda?
Yeah, listen, people were clamoring, Ike, for offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, they need offensive linemen. You and I talked about this last night about whether he'd be eligible to play this season or not. Given the timing of his transfer, he definitely is eligible to play. So Hugh Freeze, again, going out and attacking areas of need. We looked at the graphic of the 2024 commits, and I don't know if we have that available to pull up, but
not on here. We don't know.
We
get it though.
Yeah. While I'm talking, if you look at that 2024 class, it definitely has a offensive flavor to it right now. They got some key pieces on defense, certainly. So that has been certainly helpful. Thank you for pulling that up. So let's look at this again. Perry Thompson, obviously the big flip that's come in from Alabama. So you get your highest rated recruit in this class. Malcolm Simmons committed earlier that day. DeMarcus Riddick, obviously, I think, was the first domino to fall that will cause other recruits to just take a look at what Auburn is doing, man. Like, once you start to get high profile guys, these guys all talk. We talked yesterday about how Cam Coleman told me he knew Perry Thompson was flipping. Told me that over a month ago.
Right.
So, we sat on that information, obviously, to not take that moment from Perry Thompson. But look at what an awesome moment that was out by the pool.
Right.
As media, when you get information like that, you never want to ruin that moment for the kid. He gets to do that hopefully once. You never want to be part of ruining that. But when you look at the rest of this class, wide receivers, linebackers, one QB, DBs, DNs, tight ends, O-line was missing. It was definitely a hole. Now, they brought in 9 in the previous class, Ike. 9.
Right.
So it's not as if they're bereft of O-linemen.
Right.
They've got guys, but you know how it is. In this game, you have to continue to recruit, and you have to continue to get guys, and you have to continue to do what you can to get talent in your program, just in case somebody doesn't work out. And so they went out and they got this kid, and I think it's going to be awesome for Hugh Freeze if he can develop. Like, you win games in the SEC in the trenches.
Right.
So, you guys got a good visual of what that class looks like. Like I said, no O-linemen. You've got a quarterback, you've got a running back, you've got wide receivers, you got hella wide receivers. You've got DBs, tight ends, right? Yeah. Some DNs / D linemen, but again, missing from the equation were those O-linemen. So he's got to continue to get those guys in. I prefer to see them bring guys up from high school to develop them that way. But, Hugh Freeze has talked about winning now. And because he's got to win now, sometimes that means going out and getting ready-made talent, like experienced talent that can come and step in immediately. I still don't think anybody knows what this Auburn O-line is going to look like.
Yeah.
For sure. We have some ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, the talent is going to be definitely improved, but the question is, are they going to gel? But yeah, to your point, we don't know the answer to that yet.
Right. Right. So, it's just going to be interesting to see. Good pickup for Hugh Freeze. I'm not sure that this recruiting rankings are so funny these days, right? Like, I'm not sure this counts toward recruiting rankings at all. I don't think
Yeah, I
this moves
mean,
the needle for
he's a
them.
2023 class guy, so I don't
Yeah,
know
technically
if
they
that
classify them backwards. Yeah.
right, like if that changes what Auburn's last year's recruiting class. I have no idea how this goes as far as recruiting class. Like, are they going to
Mm,
give a retroactive score and because he's over here now and he's never actually
yeah.
played, or is it like a transfer class? I have no idea. That's a very good question. I have to talk to some of our guys over at Rivals and see maybe how that whole thing is getting scored because I don't
Right.
have the first clue. But yeah, Dylan is coming over. Come some just quick stats on the young man. Well, not stats, but just 6'4", 305. Again, once committed to Northwestern, was a 3-star coming out of high school. Had a lot of offers, right? Like he wasn't a guy that nobody wanted coming out of high school. Landed at Northwestern, but programs like Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, Iowa all showed interest in him coming out of high school. He ends up landing at Northwestern. Um, he's a guy who I think Northwestern was on early in his recruitment, and he just kind of stuck with his recruitment. But clearly, the whole situation of what was going down at Northwestern was a thing that he just didn't want to be a part of going into the future. And so he flips that commitment now, the fifth person from that former Northwestern class to now decide that they're not going to attend the
Right.
university and will be down here in Auburn coming up. Sixth best offensive center in the nation, according to Rivals in 2023. Eligible immediately and will have the 4 years of eligibility unless he redshirts. Well, still 4 years of eligibility, but unless he redshirts, then he'll be at Auburn for the next 3 to 4 years. Number 11 player in the state of Michigan coming out of high school.
Right. Right. So, look, he's got talent. He's a talented kid. And O-line has been Auburn's like probably weakest position over the last 7-8 years. It's always been a struggle. I would argue Tank never had the career he could have had here.
Yeah,
because he was not provided the blocking that somebody of his talent level should probably get. And it was tough. I mean, he was dodging defenders 2 yards in the backfield. I think that if O-line is solid, these kids can come in and play at a high level. Jarquez Hunter should be a 12 to 1,400 yard back.
Listen, man, if our run blocking, of course, it's going to start with the pass game because people are going to attempt to dare us to throw the ball, right? If we can be somewhat proficient enough in the pass game and with the type of splits that Coach Freeze and Montgomery like to have, akin to what you saw last year with Tennessee's offense under Josh Heupel, where they're going to have the wide receivers out there, put those DBs on an island so that they can't come help and run support as easily, or you can't have linebackers trying to fly out and help on those short underneath. If we're able to do that proficiently enough, you're going to make them have to play us straight up. All right, cool. You can't leave the guys on an island. We're going to hit you with the quick slant stuff. We're going to hit you with the bubble screen. We're going to hit you with the tunnel screen. We're going to hit you with all of the quick game stuff that you want. And they're going to have to make the DBs come up and challenge one-on-one, win a one-on-one matchup up top with a guy like Camden Brown, high pointing the ball, all that kind of stuff, right? You get that kind of stuff popping off. They got to play you honest. All right, we got to put a safety over the top. They're killing us. Safety comes out of the help in there. All right, now Rivaldo Fairweather, go do damage on the linebackers. Play action, throw it right over the top of the linebacker who's crashing down. Now the linebacker's a step slower. Then, okay, offensive line, go mash people and get that run game going. If we can keep them honest in the pass game, the stable of running backs we have, I am confident they are going to be terrors to defenses this season. I'm confident in that. Those young men, I've watched Jarquez Hunter, I've watched Brian Battie, seeing highlights and glimpses of it with Damari Alston, but I've watched Hunter and Battie play football games with poor offensive lines in front of them and rush for over 100 yards in those games. I've seen it on tape previously against Power 5 teams in Brian Battie's case with Florida. and against a really good Cincinnati football. I've seen them do that, right? So if you're telling me that we're going to have an offense that actually allows for them to have space to run with 6 defenders, 7 defenders in the box, I think that they're going to go crazy. And this young man can be a portion of that coming up into the future. Now, he's another interior offensive lineman, right? Another depth piece for our center guard collection. We do need more tackles, but it's good to be able to build that depth and understand that you've got multiple options to go to, specifically at the center, because the center is, for lack of better words, the centerpiece of that offensive line. And if you don't have a good center, it's difficult to get everybody on the right page. You've got Avery Jones, the talented transfer from ECU. You've got Tate Johnson, who's had experience there. Jalil Irvin, who's had experience there. Connor Liu can play center. And now you've got this young man who is a top-rated center. I think we're going to be in good hands for the foreseeable future at the center position if he pans out the way that he's projected to play.
Right. Yeah, it's just going to be interesting. Like, we talk a lot about how Hugh Freeze will develop quarterbacks, but we don't talk a lot about how this staff will develop O-linemen and how that process will go, because one does affect the other. So if they're blocking at a high level, quarterback development gets a little bit easier.
Right.
Hugh Freeze, right? Running back development
more
gets
time
a little
to mature.
easier.
He doesn't have to it's not trial by fire day one coming. And to me, honestly, that's been the biggest issue for me with wanting to play Holden, is I don't trust the offensive line. I don't want him to get baptized out there.
Yeah. I think you can ruin a QB's confidence if you put him behind a bad O-line, right? Unless you're that dude. Listen, some guys are just that guy. Right. And when you come in, hear me out. For certain players, you come in with a certain amount of hype. I don't hear O-line excuses.
Right.
I expect a certain minimum level of production if there is any level of blocking at all.
Right.
So what does that mean? That means that, 5-star QBs should play like 5-star QBs. There's not a 5-star QB on this roster. No. So you need blocking for all of them. Look what Robbie was able to do in spite of the O-line troubles. He needed every ounce of athleticism he had,
right,
to keep the ball moving just forward at all. If you block, and when you block for him, when you give him just a little bit of time, we saw a glimpse of the types of throws that he can make. Can he do consistently? Can Payne Thorne do it consistently? I know Payne's he's a little bit of an underrated athlete. Like, he's no statue back there.
Right. Yeah, he can move around. And to me, he is what.
Well, he's not great on the move.
Yeah, but he's what we hoped TJ Finley would be, right? Just enough of a movement, but like a pocket presence leader guy. But he's just a little more mobile than TJ Finley was. But yeah, I don't think it's fair to compare anybody's athleticism to Robbie Ashford, because Robbie Ashford is
he's ridiculous athlete, man.
There's categories of athletes. Robbie Ashford's in the other, right? Like, he's like, oh, there's athletic guys, and then there's mobile guys, and then there's pocket presence guys, and then there's statues, and then Robbie Ashford is this other category of insane athlete that we don't even really need to try to pretend other people are in the same stratosphere with him and his speed and mobility. And to your point, if he can get the accuracy piece down on the short to intermediate stuff, he's going to be a dangerous person to put in the game. We haven't talked a lot about the 2 quarterback situation that Hugh Freeze hinted at, but if he can come, and this is the same thing we said last year, like, look, go rewind the tape. Robbie Ashford's job is, if he's getting in those situations, is to make it hard to pull him back out of the game in those situations.
That's right. Yeah. If you get a chance to play, create controversy. If I am not winning the starting job, every time I touch the field, you're going to have questions to answer after the game.
Right.
About why I'm not playing more. That's bottom line. All right. And that's got to be the job. So, if you're Robbie Ashford, you don't win this job, you can't get down. You have to keep your mind in the game. We saw it happen with TJ Finley last year by his own admission.
Yeah.
When Bo won the job, I checked out. And then when it was time, he wasn't ready. So he's got to be ready. And this wasn't last year, it was the year before, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready when the time mentally, and you get so few chances at this level. Sometimes you can't afford to not be ready when your time comes.
Yeah.
So if they improve the O-line and it's a better O-line, you really have to take advantage of those opportunities, because we're talking about O-line today, right? Because once you get that chance, if the O-line is playing well, you really are going to be on a short leash for mistakes.
Yeah.
Not going to be able to go back and say, oh, but the blocking. No, they blocked for you. They did the job, right? You got to make good decisions with the football, and you've got to keep protect the football. Some of the ghost fumbles for Robbie definitely,
Right.
Have to stop, any unforced errors, right? I didn't see the linebacker sitting there right there, and he nestled down in the zone, and you threw a bad pass and it got intercepted. Peyton can't do that.
Yeah,
he threw his fair amount of interceptions last year.
Yeah.
So let's not. He's not. I wouldn't say he's turnover prone, but he'll turn. You can force him into turnovers.
Yeah,
all these guys are going to have
a lot
to
of it
protect the
because
ball.
of that mobility stuff, right? Like he's not able to avoid the rush, so he's not able to kind of just make something happen a lot of those times. And he has a propensity every now and then to just kind of throw it up for grabs because,
that's right. Trying to force and make a play.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just trying to make a play in certain situations and force it to a wide receiver or whatever. But the question that we'll have to ask ourselves going forward is, if Peyton Thorne is not the guy behind this O-line, will Hugh Freeze have the balls to make a change?
Right.
And if he's ballsy enough, then he might want to holler at our new sponsor, Manscaped.
Yes. That was elite.
Yeah, Manscaped is now sponsoring the War Report. Support the War Report. In this episode is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you: 20% off and free worldwide shipping using code RAPPORT at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 16 million balls being groomed by Manscaped there. So make sure you get your 20% off and free shipping with code RAPPORT at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using code RAPPORT. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Look, if you they have the most genius marketing. But I'll tell you, if you've been a single guy for any amount of time, you know what the game is like, right? It's crunch time, and you got to close. It's ninth inning, right? But maybe you weren't expecting it to go into the ninth, right? Their trimmer is the quietest trimmer I've ever used. Why is this important? Because if you got to go trim up the boys, it's not going to hear a thing. It's not going to know what's going on. Manscaped out here saving lives. Love it. Manscaped. Use code RAPPORT.
That is definitely the Lord's work right there, man. Listen, I haven't had an opportunity to. We did get a gift package from Manscaped, so I am going to make sure. Mike G has been on this Manscaped. This is one. Listen, we do these ad reads, and they're wonderful things. One of the things I've loved most about this is we're actually using these products already.
Yeah, we got them
at some point.
Yeah,
like B. Will's been a HelloFresh guy for years, right? Like we're getting the opportunity to work with companies that we actually like. And so that's one of the wonderful things about being able to do this that I've enjoyed the most. It's just being able to kind of promote stuff that I already liked anyway.
Yeah. Let me say this too, because we got 167 people here this morning. Again, if everybody who's watching here goes and just puts it in one small order to Manscaped, that will guarantee that they will stay on as a sponsor of the War Report through the fall. Right, all the way through the fall. So we need our community. We say it all the time. Support us by supporting our sponsors. We do believe in the products that we push. That they're either useful to your life or the company is doing good in the community, which you guys know is very important to us here at the War Report. So, one order for everybody from Manscaped, even if it's not for you, for the ladies, for the man in your life.
Right,
like help him be the man that you need him to be.
Get them trimmed up right, man.
They have this lotion, right? It's like a ball lotion. And the scent works well with male pH, so to speak, right? So yeah, they've got a ton of products. It's more than just the trimmers, but yeah,
Right.
yeah, definitely support them. Everybody go in and put one order. Use that code report so they know you came over from us, and so that you get that discount. We try to use rapport on everything to just make it
Yeah.
easy for y'all.
Makes it easy. Makes it easy for you. You don't have to remember what's going on with that stuff. But if you haven't already, go ahead and share the video. Get more people involved in the conversation. We are about to get into your comments. Like the video. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up right now. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, but let's see what everybody's buzzing about here in the comment section. We will get it kicked off with Dana Jones, who says, Bammers, got to say it correctly, are saying that Thompson isn't that good and they didn't want him anyway. This is total nonsense.
Yeah, that's complete
This
nonsense.
is absolute and total nonsense. I'm going to start pulling receipts if you guys don't calm down. I am going to start pulling receipts. I'm going to go right now, go delete your old tweets rejoicing when he made his commitment. Please, because I'm going to find them and I'm going to start pulling receipts. I'm going to go find comment sections on videos where you were talking about how good this kid could be and you were comparing him to Julio Jones. I'm going to go find all of the people on your podcast and YouTube channels that praised Perry Thompson when he initially committed. I'm going to go find all of the he's never going to flip you. People down there in the Cal College need to calm down. The Barners need to block. I'm going to go find them and I'm going to go start pulling receipts if you don't shut up. Yes, this is a threat. Stop being stupid. Please stop being stupid. This is ridiculous. It's getting out of hand.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's we're going to get into some more of the retorts that are coming from rival fan bases after this Perry Thompson commitment, but listen, he's a top 50 player. This is nonsense. Like, come on, you wanted him. They backed up the Brinks truck to get Perry Thompson. They did, and he chose Auburn. And
listen, none of this is to say that you're not going to still have talented guys in that class. We're not saying that this destroys the band. So, like somebody, I get there was a guy in our live chat yesterday talking about DeMarcus Riddick about Riddick leaving doesn't hurt us. We got nobody said it hurt you. We didn't say it helped us. I don't care about you. You're the one caring about us. Shut up. It's not about you today. It's 100% not about you. It's about what Auburn's doing, and it's about that young man who stop making it about you and your little fragile feelings.
Right.
Your little cookout and your little feelings. Care nothing about either one of them.
Right. Yeah. Like, listen, man, Thompson is good. He's going to be good. And with Hugh Freeze as head coach, the narrative that was getting pushed by some uninvested third parties, talking to you, Antonio Brown, that what are you doing? Why go to Auburn? Like, somebody had made a good point on social media. I wish I could remember who posted it. To give them credit for this, but just know this is me paraphrasing them. And it was Hugh Freeze hasn't coached a game here yet.
Right.
Why are you're acting like the school and the coach, right, are the same? They're not.
Right.
They hired a new coach. It is a new system. So what Auburn did before Hugh Freeze in the passing game is irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
It's irrelevant.
Kids, I don't know. We maybe need to put a tracker when we say this again. Commit to coaches, not schools. And so the commitment to Coach Hugh Freeze and this staff has nothing to do with what Auburn has done traditionally. It's they're separate entities completely. He's the coach of Auburn. I don't even want to get into that. He's the coach at Auburn. It's just a nonsense statement. It's absolutely nonsense. So, Thank you, Antonio Brown, for nothing. Chris S. jumps in and says, have y'all seen Malcolm Simmons' highlights? Looks proficient in the backfield and wideout. Hype on this kid.
He's good.
I have seen his highlights. Very fluid athlete. That's why he's listed as an athlete and not as a wide receiver. He can literally play multiple positions for you. He likely will play receiver at Auburn, but he's one of those guys who is kind of I don't like to use the term gadget because it makes it seem as if he doesn't have a space, but he is a guy who you can use to do a lot of things. I'm thinking about a guy who, listen, I am a big 49ers fan. If you don't know, listen, we have a player that's like that, a guy who lines up in the backfield, lines up at wide receiver. You know, there's a guy that you can utilize to do a lot of different things. I'm a fan of players like that because they allow you to do more things out of the same package, right? You don't have to substitute, but we can line up differently and go fast and make sure that we're taking advantage of what we see the defense doing and not letting them sub. So definitely looking forward to seeing what creative ways they're going to utilize guys like that in this offense, because that's always a thing that I love to see. Offensive coordinators and offensive minds finding unique ways to take advantage of unique talents. So looking forward to that. B. Will's forehead jumps in. Did Hugh Freeze cheat to get this one like he did Thompson and Riddick, according to non-Auburn people? Speaking of the commitment of Dylan.
Listen, what is cheating? What is cheating these days? Right? Because we all know they're getting money. So toss that out the window. What is cheating? Yeah. Really? I mean, nobody's abiding by the spirit of the NIL rules. Greg Sankey acknowledged this at SEC Media Days while we were there, Ike in Nashville. He said, listen, this thing has become something that we never intended, and we have to work with the states, right, to try to unify the rules to get this under control.
Yeah.
Because here's what's happening. A system intended to benefit the athletes, but also close the gap between the haves and the have-nots has only widened it. You didn't have money before. You don't suddenly have money because you can pay athletes now.
Right.
You just don't. Now, there are a few instances where you saw that one kid, the DB that went to play for Dion.
Mm-hmm.
Without NIL, he probably doesn't go there. So there are like a few one-off instances where it helped a smaller school, but for the most part, it's hurting them.
Right.
So
it's because they don't have the funds to be able to compete.
Right. Yeah. And so, B. Will's forehead, I'm not attacking what you're saying. I'm actually agreeing with you. Like, these people who are saying this, what is cheating? What is cheating? I mean, right now, I think the only thing you can really do to cheat is just to contact somebody during a no contact period.
Right. I mean, there are definitely inducements that could happen that people
but not necessary to do that. There's too many legal ways to do it. Yeah.
To say that you think that Auburn is doing that to get guys is, again, and I've talked about this plenty of times. I don't want to hear it if the school that you're complaining about, or you're a fan of the school like Alabama, Georgia, if any school that is landing consistently teams in the top 5 to 10 in recruiting rankings, you have zero leg to stand, because I factually know what happens in a lot of these instances with these. Like, stop. Why? What are you don't have a leg to stand on in this conversation. No, we're not cheating.
Right.
We're playing the exact same game everybody else is.
Yep. Exactly.
And I don't think that they're doing anything illegal in any of those instances, letter of the law or not. I just don't think that Auburn University is just out here cheating to get, like.
What's interesting about this is if you were Nick Saban or Dabo or, I would even say Kirby, you weren't excited about NIL.
Yeah.
And here's why. Because this is another thing you got to manage now.
Yeah.
It's an added dynamic to your recruiting that you didn't need before to be successful. They were already killing the game. So NIL comes along, it's like, crap. Now we got to be, money market agents.
Right. And you have a lot more. I forgot who it was that we talked to, whether it was Alan Green or
I don't care what he said.
Hugh Freeze, Alan Green. One of them was talking about, like, the issue is that there's so many more people around that young man.
Yeah, kids. Yeah. Brian Harsin talked about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can't remember whether it was Harsin or if it was Alan Green.
Both of them did. Talked about how many bad actors are coming into the lives of the student athletes, and they're trying to police them all.
Right.
Some of these agents, Ike, are delusional about that. You can, and we deal with it, right? Because we interview athletes, and so sometimes we have to talk to their agents.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you right now, some of their agents are 100% selling these athletes pipe dreams about what their market value is in terms of NIL. They may be hurting them. They're like losing them deals.
Yeah.
Because when we get the price list, we're like, what? We're not paying that for an interview.
Well, I mean, part of it is it's not even what you think that athlete is worth. It's, are you selling it to an audience that will be willing to pay that?
Correct. Right. And I'm telling you, the money. Did you remember when NIL first hit? Matt Corral was charging like 10 grand for like an hour appearance or something.
Right.
I never got to follow up to see if anybody actually paid that. But I'm like, who wants to see Matt Corral for $10,000? Like, you know what I mean? If I'm a business,
what's the return on that investment? Why would I spend that
the
kind
Ole Miss
of money?
quarterback? Yeah.
Right.
And so, do I believe his celebrity is bringing $10,000 worth of business to my to my business?
Yeah, unless you're just a fan and you want to be able to support Matt
Throw
Corral
money
at Ole
around
Miss in that way, there's literally no reason to do this.
But the other thing that is going, I'll say this and we'll move on to the next question or comment is that the problem that's happening with NIL right now that I think that coaches are going to have to try to get under control is that similar to the pro level, what was happening in the pros around 2009 when Sam Bradford got 75 million, 50 million guaranteed. Cam came out the next year. They instituted the rookie wage scale, and he got like 22 or 23 million total. But because he was the number one pick, Carolina guaranteed his entire contract. Right. Why that number is significant for the number one pick is that nobody is going to get paid more than the number one pick.
Right.
So the players joke, don't let your agent get you a bad deal, because if he does, then we're all screwed under you. That sets the market, so to speak. But the Players Association was arguing that teams were going all in on unproven rookies, and there was no money left for proven veterans in free agency. So instead of spending your whole cap on Sam Bradford, which is nuts, right, on things that are more likely to not work out than to work out, they said we're gonna put a hold on this, and these rookie contracts need to be reeled in. So if you were an existing student athlete when NIL started, to some extent you got screwed.
Right.
Now, you remember the Tank might leave for Georgia rumors?
Mm-hmm.
Not from any sources, but here's what I think. If I'm Tank, I'm 100% floating rumors that I might transfer. Because they already have me. What other incentive did they have to do to up my NIL?
Right.
So not every player has that leverage, but it is certainly a problem now where the kids coming in are getting boatloads of money thrown at them. And the current student athletes, there's no money left for them.
Right. Yeah, because despite what fans think and who the boosters are, it's not an unlimited pool of money. Like you're thinking, oh, such and such is a billionaire. That doesn't mean he wants to spend several $1 million every single year bankrolling NIL like that. Like,
right.
It's not an unlimited pool. So if you're not a part of On to Victory, go do your part and kick in a couple $100, man. But the pool of money is gonna run out at some point in time if people don't keep replenishing the well.
And they're trying to manage. I mean, they're trying to manage it. So what I imagine that system looks like is that if you got a pool of money, and then there's some kid you want to get, but you know what the market is for that kid because they're probably talking about the offers they're getting from other collectives when they come to you and saying, hey, like, so-and-so's collective is offering X amount of dollars. Well, you then you say, okay, well, let's go back to the money people and say, this is what the market is for this kid. This is how much money we have. This is how much more we need to make NIL a non-factor in his recruitment. Because if the money is equal, it still comes down to system and fit and, does it feel like home and all the traditional things that you've used in recruiting. The goal in NIL is to actually eliminate the money as a factor in their choice.
Right.
If you can, and sell your program on its merits.
Right. If all right, cool. Money, got it. We don't need to have that conversation. We're going to have something structurally sound for you. Now let's talk about how we're going to play. right?
Correct.
Or really, you want the conversation to start there so that they don't have to question this other stuff.
I'll think about it this way. Let's say Bama is offering 280 and Auburn 280K. And Auburn's offering 315. Now, if you're the athlete, you're thinking, an extra 35K to go to Auburn. But if I go to Bama, I know I'm going to get the development and, they're a proven winner and Nick Saban is going to get me to the NFL. How much does that 35K really matter?
Right.
So the money just has to be close enough to make it a non-factor.
Yeah.
For most of these athletes. And if you're an athlete, you understand, if you're a top tier athlete, you understand that the real money is down the road. So you're betting on yourself and you're going to the program still that's going to develop you the best. If I'm a mid-tier athlete and I can market myself good enough to get the money now, then that's probably the best choice for me because I know it's less than 50% chance that I'm going to make it to the pros. And if I can maximize my earning potential now while I'm in college, I get a degree, I get out with no debt, and I get out with a bank of money and a head start in life that most people will never, ever see. If you're an athlete and you're taking advantage of NIL, you can live right now off your stipends and all those things and then get out of school with a unbelievable head start in life.
Yeah.
Don't spend a dime.
If you're handling this right, you will definitely be set.
Yeah, if Marshawn Lynch can play his whole entire NFL career without spending one game check, you can get through 3 or 4 years of college without spending your NIL.
If I can get through college with the no amount of money I had, then these athletes definitely can.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
You definitely can. Daniel Moultrie jumps in. More O-line depth and one who has 4 years left. Mike's favorite word, Yahtzee. Chris S jumps in, counts towards the transfer rankings, I think, in regard to where this handles.
We'll see.
CM Pat says if we can get 1 to 2 or 3 to 4 each cycle next couple of years from high school, we can ease them in while these transfers teach and keep us in it now. That's what you want. You want a healthy mix of young players developing in your system and transfers to solidify. If you're living off of the transfer portal, then you aren't doing a great job in recruiting. Honestly, there is a recruiting to the transfer portal, but you want guys who came in, made the decision to be in your program as freshmen that develop through your program, because that's really the only way you continue to be good in recruiting is showing, hey, guys that made a decision to come here, we got them from high school to the league. Not we plucked them from somebody else's program that they developed, and we utilized them to get to the league. That's good for a transfer. But that's not how you build championship cultures that allow you people who are in your system for over a period of time. They understand your process. They're able to speak the language of the head coach in the locker room. All of those things are necessary to building championship environments. And you need young men that are fostered in that sort of thing.
That's facts.
Our guy, Dustin Smith, over at the Uptempo podcast, part of the podcast network here at the War Report, says, if Iowa, offered an offensive lineman, that's usually a good sign. We need big boys with lots of eligibility left. Solid pickup here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Agreed with our guy Dustin there. Sanford Johnson. This reminds me of the podcast about a year ago when you randomly hear treat your balls. This was back when we were sponsored by a different company at the time. They need to come on back on board, man. We could put a great no pun intended package together if we were able to get both of these guys in at the same time. Yeah. So
I love that chorus. That was a great read by B.
Yeah, B Will did definitely did that. Man. Yeah, man. So anyway, speaking of treating your boys, once again, Manscaped is a current sponsor of the War Report. Head to manscaped.com using code REPORT to get 20% off your purchase. Make sure you use code REPORT when you head over there. Let them know the War Report sent you. We are also, as always, sponsored by rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT there to get 20% off of your purchase at rogueshop.com. That lets them know the War Report sent you. America's #1 online dispensary is Broke Shop. We are getting out of here this morning. We appreciate you all dropping in with us as always. Like the video before you get out of here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share the video with somebody else so they know where to go to get all of the great Auburn content that you need. We'll be back at you all tomorrow morning with more on your Auburn Tigers here. And as always, War Eagle. Peace.
Peace.
Drop.